What did the court say? And any developments about the sentence?
Well, I was saying before, as far as I know and what I understand is that the final report is not to talk about what you have said about the demands, because it has already been established why we are here and it is also written down. The judge is already informed about the demands, but rather to talk about what has happened in the trial. I instead pointing out all the contradictions that was brought up during the trial regarding the testimonials from the Jehovah Witnesses. Then I express my opinion regarding all these contradictions, specifically from the spokesman of the Jehovah Witnesses in Spain, Mr. Ivan Hannibal Matos. I started by saying that this gentleman has said that what the Jehovah Witnesses were doing was wonderful, that nothing ever happened, that there was no disfellowshipping. He came to say that there was no abuse, that there had never been any sexual abuses within the Jehovah Witnesses. I was like, what? This must be the only group, in fact, in the whole world that does not have any sexual abuses. That would be just a miracle. He said that he actually made a statement that he did not know anything about a book called Shepherd of the Flock of God. And also he made the statement that only one witness is needed for any wrongdoing. But of course, I made it clear. Well, if you read the book Shepherd of the Flock of God in the 2021 edition, which was the one that we gave evidence in the court, it says there that 2 witnesses are needed, and you should know this because you are an elder yourself, Mr. Ivan. Of course, I told the judge, this Ivan Animal Martyrs must not know the books of the Jehovah Witnesses in general, not only the book Shepherd of the Flock of God, but also the book Organized to Do God's Will that talks about these 2 witnesses. And also I made it clear that ultimately those contradictions that caught up my attention, the spokesperson did not know the literature itself. I am not saying that he's lying or that he is lying for the sake of lying, but obviously I can't make that statement, but clearly he's not aware of the books of the organization that makes the doctrines and the structural laws of the Jehovah Witnesses organization. Then I highlighted that these contradictions of the witnesses of what they said, that ultimately they came to say that once they read the negative news of the Jehovah Witnesses, that they understood, the Jehovah Witnesses understood that they were victims and how they felt. So of course I told the judge, Your Honor, if the own Jehovah Witnesses say that they are victims and that this is a normal way of feeling as a victim after reading all these testimonials, so I said, Your Honor, what are we doing here? The witnesses are reaffirming what we are saying. And on top of that, Jehovah Witnesses are reaffirming what we are saying because first of all, they said, oh, we talk to everybody. Then afterwards, they said, the Bible says I can talk to everybody. And then later that they said, I don't want to talk to everybody because they are scared. I raised many questions because each section lasted 9 hours and there were 4 witnesses for each section. There were so many questions, but my job was to take each witness, analyze the statements, the testimonies, and in the end, you know how it is. The more you say, the worse it is. So when these witnesses wanted to say so much about how great is the Jehovah Witnesses, normally people commit 2 or 3 stupid things. They say 2 or 3 things too much, and this is what I picked up on. And that was the contrast with our witnesses. Our testimonies, we didn't commit those contradictions and we didn't have to tell any misinformation because everything we testified was to the point and truthful. And that's the funny thing. The Jehovah Witnesses lawyer in the final report didn't really want to say much because he saw the contradictions from their own witnesses. Well, the veracity comes out stronger in this case. The prosecutor is very important as he or she is the legal representative of Spain. This is a trial of the right to honor and it is the fundamental right. So the prosecutor's office is bound by law to be present. Without the prosecutor, there wouldn't be a trial at all. And this is another interesting thing about the prosecutor. One of the prosecutor's job is to find out the veracity and the truthfulness of the claims, and he or she did the job very well. At the end, the prosecutor was asking many questions. However, the prosecutor was already asking questions to find out the veracity of the testimonies from the Jehovah Witnesses and our party as well. And that was already evident when the prosecutor said at the end, in a very extensive and clear way, that the demand of the Jehovah Witnesses of Spain against the Victims Association of the Jehovah Witnesses should be dismissed for two fundamental reasons. First, the right to information. So what the Association of Victims says is true. The resolution of the Association of Victims says and supports what the victims has experienced. Therefore, that information provided by the Association of Victims is true and fulfills the first requirement of the right to information, is the veracity of the information. Nothing is made up by the association. It's all given by the victim. So this information, these experiences are for the public interest in general, which is the public health interest as well. Religious freedom belongs to everything that has to do with the general interest. Therefore, there is almost a duty to inform, and not only a right to inform, but also almost a duty. So what the Association of Victims is doing, according to the prosecutor, is of interest to everyone for the world and for Spain as well. And on top of that, is true. Secondly, is that certain classification given to the Jehovah Witnesses, such as the destructive sect, this is not only truthful, but also is experience and the expression or opinion from more than 70 victims and hundreds more that were not included in this trial. And as for the trial, it's something normal that many people come to the logical conclusion that the Jehovah Witnesses are a destructive sect, and people are entitled to express their opinion to the public or to whoever they want. But this is the thing though with Jehovah Witnesses, as many of the members, they can't think or perceive or even hold the thought, especially those in charge. They can't stand being criticized. They cannot even consider the option to be scrutinized for their beliefs. They don't want to put up with the same way they have done to other people or what they do to other religions or associations. For example, the Jehovah Witnesses criticizes homosexuals, transgenders, lesbian people, gay people. As it happened actually in this trial, a transgender woman came to the trial. The judge saw that this person was disfellowship because of her gender choice, and she was thrown out on the streets because she saw the expulsion of homosexual, transsexual people from this organization, and that is a human right violation. They can criticize all that, but hell no, no one can say anything about them. What about discrimination? Not letting women be elders or have any positions of equality within the church. I say it again, these are issues that can be respected. Like the Catholic Church, there are no women in the priesthood, but the Catholic can be criticized. They won't come after you, or you won't be shunned or by your family or criticized by criticizing this. And that is a normal thing. The discrimination of gender or discrimination to the options to sexual or gender alternatives, but if that is allowed in the church to criticize people for this reason, they also have to endure criticism the same way, but not allowing people or members of other associations to express their discontent is wrong. So I mentioned this to the judge as a side note. It begs the question, how do the Jehovah Witnesses in charge finds out how a person's gender or the sexual orientation is? Because as far as I know, people practice this in intimacy. They aren't having sexual encounters publicly. So I wonder how they find out. If that is done privately, this needs to be investigated. It begs the question though, if they are breaking a law or people's privacy, that's another thing to take it further though. Anyways, the point is that according to the prosecutor, we can carry out criticism because if they can criticize others, they are putting themselves out there to be criticized as well. Another point worth mentioning is that the public of any future Jehovah's Witnesses member has the right to information so they can be duly informed. So when someone wants to be a Jehovah's Witness, at least it has the option to see both versions and to be freely to decide for themselves. But this is not allowed either by the religious confession of the Jehovah's Witnesses. They do not want the public to be informed of these issues. This is a fundamental right, legitimate and of the same constitutional branch of as religious freedom and the freedom of information.
Defending the Victims Association is a very important thing for your career?
Yes, I have already commented on this on some occasions. I have prepared myself for this with scientific publications on the subject and all the problems of the victims of Jehovah's Witnesses. I also have 15 or 16 years of experience as a lawyer, but this is one of the cases, not to say one of the hardest cases professionally, due to the large number of documents that I have to handle and the complexity of the matter. The complexity is enormous because I think they have to see and study each victim, testimonies, and then seeing all the details reported by the victims in the videos. That has been very hard. Many hours of work, but a great professional satisfaction to be able to take this on, since I am very pleased with the work that I have done. Also, I have some kind of empathy and sensitivity for the subject. Well, I have dedicated many years of my life to these issues of coercive sex in my PhD thesis. But let me say that one thing is writing or researching, and another thing is when you talk to people and see their suffering. Many people have called me on the phone to tell me very serious things, and it has left me deeply touched. So on the one hand, really, for me, it is a pride to take this on, but whatever happens, try to help all the possible victims. Therefore, I am very, very happy, not only on a professional level, but also on a personal level for these sort of cases.
Have you received some form of pressure from this case?
I expected there would be some kind of pressure, but to make it clear, at the moment, nothing has taken me out of my stability, professionally or personal, but you can expect anything from this sort of cases.
What do you think about the damage from this case?
It is precisely the one thing I wanted to make sure that we talk about before finishing. I am pleased that this question has come about. Because of this lawsuit, the Jehovah's Witnesses religious confession against the Association of Victims of Jehovah's Witnesses, well, I can assure you, because of this, and because I am actually in the middle of the whole thing, there has been a creation or a development of more associations of victims around the world in many countries. In fact, in Mexico, there are currently 2 of these associations that are being set up. One of these is already running. The other is about to be set up the next week or so. And from the news that I have from Mexico, because I have associations there, or associates I should say, they are going to hire my other associates with my help to start proceedings against these sort of issues. And what we know so far, there are many victims coming forward. And people are interested in giving the testimony because they want to step forward in their lives. They want to come forward and tell everyone what has happened to them. This is only in Mexico so far. The numbers of people are very important too. In Argentina, an association has been established with which I am in contact with, and also through other colleagues of mine and partners with whom I have also collaborated with. And in Brazil, for a year and a half has been established this association. In Italy, they also have an idea of creating an association of victims. In fact, they are very eager to do it, but they have to start the process. In Portugal too, there are talks about Venezuela as well, Colombia, Uruguay, if I remember correctly. This is as far as I got because I can't talk to everyone, and this is as far as I can get to. But this has a rebound effect that someone somehow and ironically, for me to thank the Jehovah Witnesses organization, because of them the victims have realized that that grouping themselves with an organization, an association, that they can express much better with greater effectiveness and power against religious groups like the Jehovah Witnesses that they try to intimidate individuals.
From your experience, how do the victims suffer?
Actually, yesterday a person called me that he was feeling down and was thinking of doing things to himself that he might regret, and this sort of things draws out emotionally and physically as well and requires a lot of attention, which I think the UN, the European Parliament, and also the European Union and the human rights organizations should take note of what is happening not only in Spain with the 17 testimonials that we have in court, but many more around the world. All these atrocities, experiences that these high control groups performs onto others and their followers. And the key from all of these is that the associations should take a step forward, proactive, to listen to the victims and help them out, taking a step forward against these organizations. There will be lots of victims that might not want to take any steps, but their experiences, their voice helps to reinforce or to reaffirm the veracity of other victims. But the association of victims organized and with one voice and with the same purpose are much more stronger than one individual.
In conclusion, your last thoughts for the public?
Well, I think what is happening right now will be the foundation. The foundation has been from here and is the first stone. What do I mean? Well, just like in Brazil, Colombia, Venezuela, Mexico, Argentina, Uruguay, Italy, Germany, Norway, and other countries we have spoke about before, this little stone is taking shape, and before we know it, all these little stones from every country will make a big mountain, a mountain that will be against Jehovah Witness organization and their threats. And all this have had an effect on how the religious denomination has been treating its members to this day, because it's no longer a question of religion, it is a question of treatment, of treating people with dignity. And maybe this mountain changes something, or this little stone changes something eventually. So I encourage everyone that if they feel like a victim of something that has caused them harm, to see a step forward, because the only way to be able to change these abusive organizations will also help other people, whether they are inside or outside of these abuse cults. So this is a sense of historic moment, which, and with all my strength, like you guys, I hope we will have a winning sentence. It will be a historic, where the judge, if everything goes well, will conclude that no matter how much the Jehovah Witnesses organization has the right to honor, the victim also has the right to express themselves politely about what has happened to them, and to be able to inform and warn the society of things that has happened to the victims. So let's see if we can make history here, and soon I think that will be a very, very good outcome.
Thanks.
I want to thank everyone who sees this, and we await your comments, and whatever I can help with, I will be here with a big hug, and we will see each other very soon with the result of the sentence.